Mind your business and keep Will Smith's wife's name out your
Mind your business and keep Will Smith's wife's name out of your mouth. This is my man, and oh, this is probably irreparable. Growing up, all of us thought Hollywood was all rainbows and butterflies. We thought the industry had amazing human beings with high moral values. But the truth is far from it. In fact, the celebrities that you think are the best of friends are pulling a facade in front of the world. One prime example of that is the duo of Will Smith and Martin isn't in the wrong here. It's Will Smith who we're a little surprised that turns out things in Hollywood aren't always as buddy-buddy as they appear on screen. Word on the street is that Will has been raking in millions at Martin's expense. Yeah, you heard that right. And beloved comedian Eddie Murphy isn't having it. We're talking full on side. I'm not on my watch. Energy from Mr. Murphy. He's apparently been pretty vocal behind the scenes, calling Will out for allegedly using not cool man. Eddie, who's known for keeping it real, is allegedly ready to expose what he sees as a major Hollywood injustice. He's close to both Martin and Will, so this isn't just some industry gossip, it's personal. Get ready for some potential truth bombs because Eddie's about to break down how this whole bad boys money situation went down. And he's not holding back. I want to let you know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can follow to achieve success. To achieve prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind, simply follow these 3 steps. Pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith's wife's name out of your mouth. Now let me give you the context on this. Back in 1995, you had bad boys exploding onto the scene. It was not only a smash, but a star-making machine. Will Smith, who everyone adored as the Fresh Prince, suddenly became this gigantic action hero. And Martin Lawrence, the hilarious actor, proved he can handle the big screen as well. They were this powerful team. Mike and Marcus, these Miami cops who are total opposites, but somehow make it work. They were cracking jokes, dodging bullets, and basically redefining what a buddy cop movie can be. And now, fast forward to Bad Boys for Life, the 4th movie in the series. It's all about that same crazy chemistry between Smith and Lawrence, that same magic that made the first one so iconic. But here's where it gets really interesting. Turns out there was almost a completely different Bad Boys universe. Can you imagine? Apparently, Martin Lawrence's first choice for a partner in crime wasn't Will Smith at all. It was the one and only Eddie Murphy. Crazy, right? But for whatever reason, it wasn't meant to be. Eddie passed on the project, and the rest, as they say, is history. Will Smith stepped in, and the world got the Bad Boys we know and love still. It makes you wonder what could have been with Eddie Murphy in the mix, doesn't it anyway? Now, everyone knows Bad Boys was a smash hit, right? But here's a little behind-the-scenes tidbit you might not know. It all started with Martin Lawrence. Sony Pictures went to him first, offered him this potential blockbuster, and said, hey, we want to make a movie now. Martin's a smart guy. But even he couldn't have predicted how huge it would become anyway. He was thinking about who to bring along for the ride, and like I said, his first choice was Eddie Murphy. Can you imagine pairing 2 of the funniest guys ever blowing stuff up and trading barbs? It would have been legendary, but as Martin himself put it, Eddie came with a hefty price tag. Apparently, Martin's sister, the real MVP of this story, pulled him aside and said, you got to do this movie with Will Smith. At this point, Will was killing it on Fresh Prince, but he wasn't exactly known for action movies, but Martin trusted his sister's judgment. So the Martin was sold 5 minutes into the talk, even saying Will is the best salesman he's ever encountered. They just clicked on these 2 sitcoms. Stars taking a leap of faith together, and thank goodness they did because Bad Boys without Will and Martin, unthinkable. You know what they say about hindsight. It's 2020, especially in Hollywood. Take Eddie Murphy, for example. Dude probably looks back at that Bad Boys offer and says, yeah, good call past me because those movies made a mountain of money. But guess who ended up with the biggest slice of the pie? Will Smith. That's who. And now you should be receiving some of the story. Will Smith managed to sneak away with a majority of D in terms of salaries. And you know why that hurts so much? Funny thing is, back in the day, it was Martin Lawrence holding all the cards. It was 1995, and Will was still rocking that Fresh Prince fade, while Martin's had Martin blowing up the airwaves. Martin was the bigger name, the bigger draw, and you better believe his paycheck reflected that. The sitcom Martin was a massive hit, and he was killing it in movies too. It's wild to think that Will Smith ended up with the bigger paychecks. Even though Moran was arguably the bigger name at the time, it makes you wonder how those negotiations went down and what factors came into play beyond just their star power at the time. And honestly, it's kind of sad that Will Smith exploited Lawrence when Martin was the one who gave Will the opportunity in the first place now, though. Sony saw those box office statistics and was like, greenlight another one stat. And that's how we got Bad Boys Ride or Die. But hold on, because this story gets even wilder. Imagine a universe in which Dana Carvey and John Litz starred in Bad Boys. Yep, you heard that right. Those were the guys the big wigs originally had in mind. Can you even picture it? It would have been a whole different vibe, that's for sure. But thankfully, F intervened. Casting decisions were made, and two rising stars named Martin Lawrence and Will Smith stepped into those roles, and the rest, as they say, is cinematic history. But wait, not so easy. This is where Will Smith started messing up. Let's talk money, because in Hollywood, that's where the real drama unfolds back when Bad Boys was just a twinkle in a producer's eye. Martin Lawrence was the king of the hill. He was offered a cool $6 million to play Detective Brunette. Meanwhile, Will Smith still finding his footing after Fresh Prince snagged a respectable $2 million for Detective Lowry. A $4 million gap, sure. But hey, that's showbiz, and the gap made sense because one had more experience. But then something interesting happened. Will Smith's career went supernova. He was charming audiences, winning awards, and raking in the big bucks by the time Bad Boys 2 rolled around 8 long years, and a whole lot of script rewrites later at Will's paycheck had skyrocketed to a cool 20 million US dollars. Martin's salary received a bump as well, matching Will's. But the power dynamic had moved fast forward another 17 years because apparently wonderful things come to those who wait a really long time, and Bad Lads for Life hit the scene. Will Smith was essentially Hollywood royalty at that moment, commanding a $17 million payday. Martin Lawrence, on the other hand, was offered $6 million. That's right, folks. The gap had widened again, this time with Will on top. And even if Will has garnered attention, poor Martin didn't deserve six. Now, some people say, hey, Will earned it. He's a global superstar. And they're not wrong. But then you've got folks like Eddie Murphy who think Martin Lawrence deserves a bigger piece of the pie after all. It was his project initially, his star power that got the ball rolling back in Will Smith. Already a rap superstar and about to become the Fresh Prince we all knew and loved, had an epiphany. He wasn't just going to be famous. He was going to be the biggest movie star on the planet. Was it ambitious? Absolutely crazy. But hey, this was Will Smith we're talking about. He sat down with his manager, James Lasser, and they got to work. They weren't just brainstorming ideas. They were dissecting box office hits like they were performing surgery. They crunched box office riches and bam, suddenly you have